All right. So for our viewers at home, could you introduce yourself and one of y'all tell us a little bit about the film?
Okay, I'll start. Hey, everyone. I'm Jason Phillips. I'm one of the producers.
And
Hi, I'm Erica Sutherland. I'm one of the writers.
I'm Ingrid
Hi,
Tudor.
my
I'm
oh,
one of the actors.
hi. My name is Dagmawia Baba. I'm one of the directors.
Hey, I'm Jewel Bridges. I'm one of the actors.
I'm Miles Alva. I'm one of the producers.
And Voodoo Macbeth follows the story of the first all-black cast to perform Shakespeare's Macbeth in Harlem, New York, directed by Orson Welles. And it's made by a collective of people. We had 8 writers and 10 directors.
Wow. All right. So so great story. Where did the inspiration for I know where the inspiration for this film come from, but when did it become, okay, we got to do this, and where did you start? Because the story is so intricate, and it's also too, a big part of a bigger story. So where did you decide we're going to start here and then we're going to end here? Because I could have watched another 4 hours of this thing. It was beautifully done.
Thank you. Erica, why don't you take this one since you're part of the whole writer's room?
Copy that. All right. So, um, of course, you know that this was made through a class assignment, actually. And we came into the classroom. So it was about 8 writers with our professor, John Watson. Um, John sourced the idea over the summer. He knew that he wanted to create a story surrounding the making of Voodoo Macbeth and Orson Welles. And so when we arrived in that spring, in that fall class, he had his research and we did more research. And then we talked about what story we wanted to tell and how we wanted to tell it. And we just started pitching ideas. So we did come into the class with some type of structure, with a here is what we are going to create. What it is totally, we don't know. And then that's where we jumped in as the writers to go, okay, so now here are the pieces to the bigger structure, and this is how we're going to tell the story. Yeah.
So as far as the research is concerned, what resources and sources did you guys use? Because I've done research on this event myself, and I did dig pretty deep. It's not really out there, and what you
Yeah.
guys really did is you guys really hit home the making of and the characters and the personalities behind this. So, tell me a little bit about your research process.
Sure, you want me to keep going, Jason? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, so yes, there's only a small clip that's available of the original piece. So from there, I think a lot of us, we talked about the time period, what would be happening, how people would be acting, how we would, what would be said, the language. Um, Google is my best friend, and then from Google, and then from Google, then I go to all other kind of sources. But for me in particular, the research was interesting. Well, it was different because this is my one, two, fourth iteration of doing this production. So I have directed Macbeth. I was Lady Macbeth. I was a witch, and the last one I did when I was Lady Macbeth, I was Voodoo. We was a Voodoo Macbeth version of it. So my particular sources come from so many different places because I've had to play so many different roles. But all in all, we had a huge packet about that thick before we walked into the door. And then from there, we all broke it down and went to certain sources, certain books. I don't have like the titles. I'm so sorry. I
No, no,
put
it's
everything
okay. We know you bleed Macbeth. I mean, we know that. So, Jason and Miles, when I was watching this film, it reminded me of the 2004 version of The Lovely with Kevin Kline. It was the Cole Porter story that Metro Goldwyn Mayer did. And they did such a wonderful job to capture, you know, the atmosphere of the time. So tell me a little bit about, your set sets, your set decoration, the clothes, because when I first 10 minutes of this film, I was like, this is the lovely. This is the 2004 version. And it was so wonderfully done. And you guys captured, I felt really good. You guys captured that. So tell me a little bit about, the costumes, the set, and getting the feel of the 1930s.
Okay, I'll go. So we were really lucky to have a great production designer and a great costume designer. And I think that we leaned on those two people really heavily to make the film look and feel the way it does. In addition, like this is a grant through Warner Brothers. So the Warner Brothers studios opened up their costume department to us and their backlot. And so this really helped us with the period feel. And we were able to really bring those clothes to life. Our costume designer, she was one of the only people who wasn't an alumni of USC, but USC doesn't really have a costume design track. So we were really lucky to find somebody who was willing to come out. Actually, she came out from New York and she was very experienced, and she was just really willing to, take a little bit less money than she usually does and work on a production just so she can have a really nice piece on her portfolio to do a period piece from the 1930s, and she killed it. And I think that everyone was really happy with her, and she was great with every director, and she helped with the clothes, telling the storyline. And then her and the production designer just got along so well, and their color palettes were in sync, and it just made the film so fluid. And I think that really helped us creating the feel. And even we got lucky one time at Warner Brothers. They were shooting a show that was much bigger than ours before, and we wanted to shoot the whole backlot. But the backlot has lots of windows and lots of things that aren't necessarily period. But this show had put up a bunch of decals that were from the same period as ours, and it saved them some time to not take them down, and we had to take them down, but they kept them up for us. So like every window got to be decorated with these decals and these soup signs, and we didn't really do that, but we got to benefit from that. So just a lot of luck, benefiting from the studio, and then the production designer and costume designer really killing it on this project.
And I would also just to add in about the atmosphere. We had Inger and Jewel, and like the actors really brought the world to life with the production design team, with the directors, with costumes. So I just want to give kudos to them because they really brought the life of the film.
Inger, what did you learn about yourself professionally and personally while making this film? You did such a wonderful job in your character. It showed that you took so much great time and for your craft. So what did you learn about yourself professionally and personally through this making of this film?
That's a very interesting question. I think the thing that I learned, the thing that I benefited the most from as an actor and personally was just learning how important it is to really have an understanding of your character from the beginning to the end of a story, how important it is to really stick to that arc and you have to know it so well that you can be flexible with 10 different people directing you, but know what your particular character's goals are, what their objectives are. And so be true to that, but still be able to say, okay, well, this person is kind of coming at it this way. This person came at it that way. How do I make this all fit together? And then the other thing is, I told this story the other day. I personally have a fear of steep descents, and the scene where I'm doing the Lady Macbeth monologue had a very steep staircase. So when I saw what I was going to have to go down, I had the first moment of, I can't do that. That's not going to be possible. And then I said, you know what? You have no choice. You've got to do this. So I started practicing going up and down the balcony stairs in the audience at the theater, so that I could get past it and just realize, like, there are certain things as an actor that you have to do that scare the heck out of you, but you can push through them, because that's the whole point of this, is that you grow and you blossom as a person and as an actor when you're doing a project like this. So
Jewel, I wanted to know, I loved your character as well, so how did you prepare for this role? I mean, you to me, you hit it, all of y'all hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, like I said, I think this film is like the 2004 version to Lovely. So tell me a little bit about, doing your research? Because we know Erica bleeds Macbeth. I mean, she's gonna, Macbeth is gonna be with her for the rest of her life and beyond that. So tell me a little bit about, how you channeled this, Jewel.
Yeah, so when I got the call that I got cast, we had about like 2 weeks from when I found out that it was going to happen to when we first started shooting. And I remember our producer Jason joked that feel free to start eating as much as you want. And I looked at him and was like, you don't know my metabolism. There's no way I'm going to be able to put on enough weight in 2 weeks to be able to visually pull off that kind of magic, to get a more rounded face like Orson. But in a way, it kind of opened me up, because I realized physically, visually, I wouldn't be able to be completely accurate. So instead, I just focused on the character. I focused on the psychology. I focused on his spirit. I focused on the history. I did a lot of research for him when he was younger, rather than like older times, obviously. Everything up to the production, his time doing Shakespeare overseas, his productions here in the States, his early relationship with Virginia. The way, obviously our show isn't, our story isn't completely historically accurate. There are some things that are taken to make it a little bit more modern, and finding out how much he was actually beloved by his cast, because I know he does have a bit of a love-hate reputation amongst different people that have worked with him. He just was one of those charismatic people that was intense. So my focus was mainly on that. Because I knew that I could capture, I knew I could nail that. And it ended up being such a wonderful, beautiful melding of my theatrical experience and film, which was really great, because this is my first film at this kind of level. And I got to combine all of my kind of personal Shakespeare and theatrical experience into this character. So it very much felt like a melding of home and new.
So it felt right. It felt like it fit like a glove, right?
It did. It really did.
I got to know, what did you eat to put on the weight? I mean, was it
I
fried
did.
chicken? What you did? You just like, I'm not going to eat that much, right?
Yeah.
So no hamburgers, no French fries at 2 a.m. Uber
No,
Eats didn't come over 5 times a day.
Nope. Those kinds of transformations take a little bit more time. I knew my body, but that's not why I was cast. I really don't believe that it's because I was the person that looked the most like Orson. It's because I captured him, and I was very proud of the work that I did. And he was a very dear friend to me over the course of shooting this film.
Oh, you did excellent. All y'all did excellent job. I felt like you were Orson and stuff. So, Diagmawa, what did you learn? Doing a period piece is very difficult, and most independent films like these don't do period pieces because it takes time, it takes money, it takes effort. You had to hide all the cell phones. So tell me a little bit about your process of, okay, getting into the mindset of doing this period piece. What research did you do? And what did you learn about yourself through all this whole process? And what do you think you took away from this film that you use in your other projects in the future?
Well, first off, I want to give props again to Marin and Naomi and our production design and costume design, because I have to say, when it comes to a period piece, when you get into the costumes and you step onto a set that is that rich in detail, it is so it just is so easy to be transported as an actor. Like we do extensive work on the characters and the dialogue and understanding what the moment is in the scene, but you step on set, and when you have that much richness to play with, it's so easy to be transported and to be transformed. So I'm very, very grateful for those departments and for all of their work. Things that I learned, because most of my experience was in theater before this. I personally, I was excited to be on set for the length of this, but I'd never been on set as one of the leads, where I was on a shoot for the majority of the time like this. And I think the greatest discovery for me is that it didn't matter how long the shoot was the day before. It didn't matter that we were our last day on the Warner Brothers set and we weren't going to be able to come back. So we had to get all the shots in, and we were there till 4 a.m. in the morning, and we were going to be back on set at 10 tomorrow. It never mattered how much sleep I lost or what kind of kerfuffle things happened the next day, I was so excited to come back. So for me, that was the biggest lesson that I learned, is truly how much I loved it. I knew how much I loved acting, but it's a little bit different when you're on stage, the process wise, versus when you're on set. So for me, that was one of the most profound gifts that I took for me, is that for me as an actor, it doesn't matter if I'm on stage and on set. I love the medium, no matter how you slice and dice it. So that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned.
So I'm getting the rap time. DAGA Dagmai, am I saying that right?
The Dagmawi, yeah.
Dagmawi. Anything you want to add? Because that question was originally directed towards you, but that's okay. So anything you want to add, because I hate to leave you out.
I mean, I think all the producers, and the department heads did such a great job doing research and meeting with each director. The DP spent 3 hours each meeting with every director, the costume designer, and the production designer. So it's like we all felt like we were on the same page, that when we got on set, we won't do too many crazy things that would stray away from the story. So we felt all the prep we did kind of prepared us for that. And all the directors would meet separately as well and just kind of hash out little areas where we had different ideas. So make sure that we kind of all made it flow together. So I think that helped. I think, how making a film with 10 directors. We also had co-pilots where another director would come on set and kind of, we talk, like if we had the trouble of like, oh, how do we make the scene go? Like we would ask our co-pilot director, and then that would also help us out. So it was a very good collaborative process. And I feel like that's the best lesson we took out of this project.
Awesome. I would love to talk with you for many, 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 many more hours. Congratulations on such a great film. And like I said, this film really reminded me of the 2004 version of The Lovely. So you guys did a great job. You guys hit it out of the ballpark. And congratulations and best of luck to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.